Thank you. It's such a great honor to be here this afternoon. I grew up in a very small farming community in Malawi. Farming, it's not an easy job in Malawi. There are a number of things that makes farming very difficult. One of it is the weather, the price of seeds, the price of fertilizer. So each and every growing season, farmers have to look up on that. If one of that challenge occurs, as a farmer, you can't harvest enough. In 2000 to 2001 growing season, we experienced some drought. As the result of that drought, crop didn't do well. People only harvested quarter amount of what they were hoping. That meant that they had to live up on that quarter amount of food for the entire year until the next harvesting season, which was very difficult to majority of the people. People ran out of food very quickly, including my family was badly affected by the situation. At that time, some people that I knew passed because of the hunger. My family was even badly affected. We had to eat 1 meal per day so that small amount of food that we had could last us until the next growing season. At that time, the biggest challenge was that I was supposed to study high school. High school in Malawi, you have to pay for it. Because of the situation, my parents didn't have money to pay for my tuition. I was forced to draw out of school. When I had to draw out of school, I looked at my father and those dry fields. That wasn't the future that I could accept it. I didn't want to become like him. I didn't want to become a farmer. It's not that I didn't want to become a farmer because I hate farming. No, I love farming. But I didn't want to become a farmer because of the circumstances, which is the case of majority. They are not farmers by choice. They are farmers because of the circumstances. Their only hope is to grow enough food to feed their families, and if they have surplus, they can be able to sell and send their kids to school. That life wasn't the life that I wanted. I thought that if I can have an education, I can be able to do many things that I want to do with my life, that they can help out with my family, my community, or my country in general. So when I couldn't go to school, I started thinking, what can I do in order to continue with my studies? I decided to start going to the library to read books, textbooks that they were using in school. When I was reading those textbooks, I was hoping that when the hunger would be over and my parents would find the money, they would send me back to school. I didn't want to be behind. So reading those textbooks and also copying notes from my friends who were still going to school at that time. And I got also interested into reading science books. I got interested into science books because I was curious growing up when I was younger. I really want to understand how things work. I used to ask people, how does the car work? They say, you put in gas, you start the engine, and you drive. I say, I know that. But how does that turn the engine to run? Nobody could tell me. So when I started going to the library, I was more of like trying to understand different things in terms of science. Even though at that time I couldn't speak English very well, and most of the words, we don't have direct translation into my language. I'll ask the librarian to explain to me through imagination and image. I was able to understand electromagnetics. That's when I found another book that had the pictures of the windmill. When I read, they say windmill to pump water and generate electricity. The word pump water attracted my attention. I decided to build the windmill, even though I didn't have money to buy parts that I needed for my windmill. And the book didn't say what parts you need. So I ended up going to the junkyard just next to the same high school that I just dropped from to pick up parts that I needed for my windmill. When I was doing that, a lot of people were laughing at me, including my mother. She was very worried of me. She thought that I was going crazy. She said, you are no longer going to find a wife because no one wants to marry a crazy man. Regardless, I was able to build the windmill, but I didn't stop going to the library. One day when I was at the library, the librarian asked me, why do you check out the same book? I explained to her that the book inspired me to build a windmill. She wanted to see it. She came, she saw it. But a few weeks later, the organization that started different libraries, they were visiting all the libraries to see how people were using them. When they told them about my work, they were also interested to see it. They came to my village, they saw it, and they came again. They brought some journalists. One of the journalists wrote the article about my windmill, and that article was picked up by one of the guys who was organizing the TED conference. I was invited to attend the TED conference where I spoke very briefly, and the people asked me, how can we help you? I said, I want to continue with my work, but also want to continue with my studies. So I was able to go back to school. I went to school in South Africa for 2 years. After there, I went to Dartmouth College, where I graduated in 2014. Throughout the time, also one thing that my mentor helped me to start was the Moving Windmills organization, where we are doing a lot of projects to solve some of the problems that people were facing in Malawi. But one of the questions that people keep asking me, what do you wish you had when you are building your windmill? I said, I wish if I had a space and also tools that I could be able to use and mentorship to help me to build that windmill. That could have made my life much easier. So when I was at Dartmouth, I was working at the machine shop, seeing the tools that we had there, designing parts of engineering students that they are doing parts of their engineering. It was much easier for that. If I had this in Malawi, I could do much more, which is a lot of people in Malawi, they have like an idea, but they don't have space, young people, that they can be able to use to bring their ideas to life. So to me, I believe that talent is universal, but opportunities are not. So if you can give young people an opportunity to design solution that to the problem that they are facing in their communities, you'll be amazed what they can come up with. We did a pilot project to solve the problem that the peanut farmer faces. So in that competition, we had interest from high school students and also from college graduates. But one of the winners was an elementary school student who designed a simple thing to pluck peanuts. When I looked at that, I say, like, there's so many young people, if you give them the opportunity, they'll be able to come up with so many. That's what we are now wanting to build the Innovation Center, a space where we can bring young people from all over Malawi to design a solution to everyday's challenge in agriculture, in energy. It really kills me to live in the country where 90% of the population are farmers, but each and every year we struggle to feed our population. So we want to be able to design that. I'm very happy that we are working with the MAS to design that innovation center that we can bring it to life. When I look back from the time I started my work to where I am, I faced so many challenges that would have simply stopped me from achieving what I have achieved. But one thing that I tell myself always, challenges, they are not always there to stop you from achieving your goals, but they are there to strengthen you, to make you grow in everything that you do. In life, no matter who you are, we face some challenges. My challenge might be different from your challenge and somebody's challenge, but one thing that I know is that if you want to get from point A to point B, if you know where that point B is, you can always be able to get there. Sometimes you have to climb over obstacles, sometimes you have to go around. So I know that the journey to get this innovation center, it's wrong. But with a great team, we'll be able to get there. I hope you'll be able to join us in order to get this dream to reality. Thank you for allowing me to share my story with you this afternoon. It's a little great honor. Thank you.